What is your never again brand, item, store, or restaurant? Temptations cat treats. There's something in those things that turn cats into absolute junkies. One of my cats refused to eat normal food for days on end because of those dang treats. Planet Fitness. Moved back to my home state from SF. Forgot to cancel my membership. Tried from the app? Nope. Tried from my local Planet Fitness? Nope. Said I had to mail in a copy of my license and proof of membership. So I cancelled that credit card because that was easier than getting my membership cancelled. I lived a few miles away and they told me that I cannot cancel over the phone or on the website. When they made me come in personally to cancel, the woman at the desk whined why. When I said I was there to cancel my membership. A grown woman. AT&T from back in the days of long distance said they'd get me a good rate to Thailand, which we call all the time. Bill comes and it's 10x the advertised rate. I call. The first guy can't fix the bill. I escalate to a manager. He says you are correct. I'll fix your bill. Next day he calls back and says, we've decided not to fix your bill. Back in early 2000s, I had them for long distance calls as well. They charged a crap load of money, so I called to cancel the service. A month goes by and I get another bill from them for like $90 for maybe 15 minutes of calls. I contacted customer service and they said that while I canceled my long distance, I didn't cancel local long distance, so they kept charging me. It took hours for them to concede that when I canceled my long distance service that I was canceling all the long distance. They still wanted to charge me for the calls, but agreed to charge my new company's rate, which was 5 cents per minute. I actually had to send them a check for 60 cents. Frick AT&T for wasting hours of my life and so much of my patience to wring 60 cents out of me. You should have sent a check for 61 cents, forcing them to refund you 1 cent. Ohio Savings Bank. They charged me $300 over the span of a year because, unlike normal debit cards, every time I put my PIN in instead of signing, it charged me an extra $1.50. By the time I caught it, most of the charges were past the 30-day refund policy, so they gave me $10 as a refund. I didn't make a fuss because I know it's not the worker's fault, but I did withdraw all my money immediately and switched banks. Frick that place. That seems super jank and scammy. Most places I go to anymore don't even give me the option to sign, it's always just PIN number. Dollar Tree shredded cheese. Just don't. Please don't be like me and try it. Sprint couple of years ago they let someone buy over $2,000 worth of phones in my mom's name. Didn't ask for it or anything. They got an address, but it was off by a couple of numbers. My mom didn't notice for a couple of months when her credit got flagged when they were trying to get approved for a loan or something. She fought with Sprint to get the charges removed from her credit. We've never had Sprint before, so don't know how that was a massive oversight, especially with no it and the wrong address. I on the other hand have had nothing but good luck with Sprint. I even got $2,000 worth of phones for free. Home Advisor. I'd swear it is just advertisements with fake reviews. I got a horrible contractor for a kitchen through them. It took over a year. They had 4.8 stars and hundreds of reviews on Ha. They lost their BBB status in the process. I had to get the state to threaten their license just to get them to finish. DoorDash. When 50% of my orders never made it to me and one of the drivers cusses me out for having the audacity to ask for my food, they go on the never again list. Yours Clothing. I got 3 hoodies for £72 plus £5 delivery, and they were the lowest possible quality you could imagine. Paper-thin fabric and some sort of light plastic zipper. On 2 of the hoodies the zips were broke, the other one was on backwards. There was no design, just plain, but the coloring was off, and some parts of it didn't look the same as they did on their online pics. One of them wasn't even the same size as the other 2, despite the label saying it was. That one also had some issue on the front. I took them back for a refund, and the shop assistants were pretty shooty about it as well. I had to email if I wanted delivery refunded because they wouldn't do it Insta. After all of that I kept getting harassed by marketing texts, even though in my account I unsubscribed from everything. Greyhound. I will never step foot on one of their buses again. Every single time I've rode with them, something catastrophic happens. From buses breaking down to felons getting arrested mid-trip, I think it's safe to say I've had enough. So in my sophomore year in college a few years ago I was on my way back home for Thanksgiving. Surprisingly, everything went smoothly with booking and boarding the bus for my trip. Naturally, I sat in a row with no people in it so I could secure a window seat. That way I can listen to music and stare out the window the whole time to avoid people. Little did I know, I was in for a surprise. Some random guy decided he's going to sit right next to me. I thought nothing of it since the bus was getting crowded anyway, so it seemed inevitable that the vacant seat next to me would be filled. I decided not to be so antisocial and made small talk with the guy. Turns out, he just got out of jail. On his way to wherever to start the next chapter in his life. I'm not put off by it at all and was genuinely happy for him, since he seemed like a good guy. As the conversation came to a close, we were actually about halfway to our destination. I guess we were both astonished by how the time flew, because he told me he was going to go smoke in the bathroom in the back. Cool, I said as he got up and left. I glance back at the bathroom and see the big no smoking sign right over it. Geez, I don't think this guy is supposed to do that, I thought to myself. The smell of cigarette smoke quickly filled the already foul-smelling bus, alerting the bus driver that someone was obviously smoking in the bathroom. The woman driving the bus made an announcement to remind passengers that we were not allowed to smoke in the bus, but the deed had already been done, and my new felon friend kept going. The bus driver gets really mad at this point and pulls over. I knew instantly that this would add at least a good 20 minutes, but that was a gross underestimate. Felon guy waltzes back out the bathroom clearly smelling like cigarette smoke, and that's when the driver starts to berate him via intercom. Apparently, she had heard his story about how he just got out of jail and did him a favor by letting him on for free. What a nice lady, at least before she got mad. It quickly escalated to her calling the police to escort him off of the bus as they continued to argue in the funky bus. It was an awkward half an hour wait before the police arrived to arrest the felon. By that time an hour had already passed and I was already pissed. The traffic the rest of the way there was terrible too, adding another hour to the trip. Silly me for not learning my lesson after that trip, I guess. Oh man, I wish I could remember what bus company my high school used. To save money, instead of flying for the banned Disney trip, they decided on a 22-hour bus ride. Nice coach bus thing. Bus number 1 broke down in Georgia at 2 a.m. We were stuck on the side of the highway for 3 hours. Bus number 2 was the replacement. It made it 2 hours in the hotel parking lot. We went downstairs for our first very exciting day at Disney and the engine was just straight up on fire. We didn't even step onto bus number 2. Bus number 3 was fine, smelled weird and the outlets didn't work, but it drove. They decided to switch back to bus number 1 on the drive home, and it actually survived that time. I also had food poisoning the entire trip. Fun times. Greyhound bus. If you've got no other option, buckle up, it's going to get weird. My dad always says, you don't ride Greyhound to go somewhere. You ride it to leave somewhere. Ashley Furniture. Tried to use the extra protection plan we brought for our sofa that broke. They picked it up and then they tried to deliver it back to the wrong address 4 goddamn times. We were without a sofa for a month and a half when we were told us it would be 7 days because they couldn't figure out how to update our fricking address. I literally had to go into a physical location because their phone customer service just couldn't figure out how to update a simple address and refused to escalate, and it was literal insanity. I wish I was exaggerating. Jared. I went in with something specific in mind for a ring and asked the salesman to please show me what he had comparable to that criteria. Right off the bat he put his hands up and said, whoa, slow down. Just be calm. And quite frankly that set my teeth on edge because I don't think there's anything aggressive about truthfully answering the question, how can I help you, you know? He then kept trying to get me a lat and telling me to relax and settle down, which was only serving to upset me more. When he finally got around to showing me merchandise, he showed me a ring that had an inclusion so large in the stone that it looked like a giant scratch through the middle. So yeah, whenever those stupidity went to Jared commercials come on, I always yell out, you can tell because her ring has a fricking scratch in it. I can't remember if it's Jared, but whichever place has the chocolate diamonds. Those are low quality stones that they give a fancy name to and hope people will buy for inflated prices. Same with salt and pepper diamonds. Look like shoot, but they make it sound trendy, so the trendsters end up buying them. Tesco value baked beans. I lived on those and jacket potatoes for 6 months. There was a baked bean price war on, and I couldn't afford meat. If that's not the most British thing I've read this evening. Comcast. Unfortunately, they're the only game in a lot of towns. Dodge Ram. Bought new, had all service and oil changes done at the dealership. Paid above the monthly note and managed to pay it off about 6 months early. At 5 years 47k miles, it throws a rod. Took the issue all the way up the chain. Was told that because the note was paid off, that we got our money's worth on the truck. Our expectation that our truck should function beyond the length of the loan was unrealistic. FCK Dodge, never again. You mean a connecting rod? It snapped after 47k? I don't care how hard you are on the engine, that's almost unheard of. Had to be a frick up in the manufacturing of it. That's terrible, I'm sorry that happened. Target brand tampons. I'll skip the details. If you know, you know. Equate is also on my shoot list. Never again. Always Kotex or Tampax. Dell, for laptops anyway. They have this devious little feature. The charging cable has a thin data wire inside that tells the computer the charger is from Dell. If you plug in a charger that does not have this, even if the voltage is correct, the computer will throttle the CPU way down by sending false overheating signals and will only increase the battery charge if the machine is off. To make this way worse, that data pin wears out and breaks very easily, and even if your charger still works, which it often does, it is borderline unusable. Since you can only get a replacement from Dell, replacement chargers are unusually expensive. This feature cannot be turned off in any intended way. There is a program you can use to bypass it by disabling the specific type of thermal CPU throttling they use, but that only works on Intel PUS. If you have an AMD, tough luck, and even if you don't, you shouldn't have to disable hardware safety features using third-party software just to use hardware that is perfectly functional, except for one unnecessary part that is designed to break. Wells Fargo. 1. Fake account scandal. 2. Auto loan insurance scandal. 3. Mortgage loan scandal number 1, changing customer terms. 4. Mortgage loan scandal number 2, 2008. 5. PPP loan scandal. We got our mortgage from a local bank that we liked. And that bank immediately turned around and sold the mortgage to Wells Fargo. I intended never to use them for anything after all this shady shoot happened. And now they own my mortgage. Whichever brands incessantly advertise at me. Victoria's Secret. Overpriced for meh quality. I worked at Versus for about a year a long time ago. Was always bothered by the fact that any clothing returned was put right back out on the floor. Bras, underwear, all of it. Haven't shopped there since. That's a store issue, not company policy. I worked at Versus for 5 years, anything returned was destroyed, reported on damage sheets as loss, and thrown in trash. Never Again restaurant was Jamie Oliver's Italian. Bloody awful menu, completely pretentious, right? I think they all closed down. Yes. Had an awful lamb stew there that coated my mouth with cold lamb fat. Was told my palate was not sophisticated enough to appreciate real Italian food by both waitress and manager when they asked how my meal was, and I gave the honest answer. Frick off. Spirit Airlines. The one time my family has flown Spirit, there was a crushed taco salad in the pull-down desk, and the whole plane smelled vaguely like baby powder. That was your in-flight meal. Samsung for putting menu ads on my TV that I paid for. Smoky Bones. I ordered a loaded nachos from them recently. It arrived. It was basically a pile of plain corn chips with maybe a tablespoon of cheese sauce. It included several tiny tablespoon portions of salsa, tomatoes, jalapenos, and sour cream. This was $13.00. Total waste of money. I will never order from them again. Red Robin. They offered my father a corporate job, then rescinded it upon learning the reason he spent the last 6 months out of the workforce was to beat leukemia. American Buffets. Ryan's, Golden Corral, Old Country Buffet, etc. I worked at one. Trust me. Do not. Soon after she left me in 1998, my ex-wife wanted to meet for a post-mortem conversation. I suggested we meet at Pizzeria Uno. About 20 minutes into our agonizing conversation, she looked around and said, "Wait. You hate Pizzeria Uno?" I replied, "I sure do. I'm not going to ruin a place that I like with terrible memories. I'm never entering a Pizzeria Uno again." And I haven't. Haribo sugar-free gummy bears. You know why. Stay away from sugar-free gummies, but Haribo themselves make quality gummy candy aside from those.